Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and you don't want me anywhere near your hair.
I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet home Chicago. 224 446.
Hey there, I am really Marty Levinson. Don't let anybody fool you. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org. All our shows are on YouTube. You can watch us on TV in Chicago on channel 19, Thursday at 7:30 p.m., Friday at 2:30 p.m. on CanTV 19 in Evanston, Tuesday at 10 o'clock, Thursday at 8 o'clock on Channel 6, and there's live streaming also. There's a link through our website, and as well as a link to YouTube on ntnm.org. And in Skokie and 35 North and Northwest suburbs, we air Mondays at 6 p.m. Community policing alive and well in the 24th District. It may not be exactly what CAPS was, and we're still waiting to see exactly what's going to happen downtown and through the city, but our commander, James Russell, who I'm very fond of, has said we will be having monthly meetings in all the various beats. It is a pleasure now to have somebody who's been on the show before, a star reporter of the News Star, and actually the person who writes the best police blotter I've ever read, and it's Mark Schipper. Mark, how you doing?
Good, Avi. How you doing?
Good, thanks. And you want to tell us a little bit about the News Star?
Yeah, the News Star is a community newspaper. They've been around in Chicago since 1905. I say they because there's Inside Booster as well, which is published under Inside Publications. And we cover most of the classic North Side neighborhoods: Rogers Park, Edgewater, Andersonville, Lincoln Park, Lincoln Square, and several others.
West Rogers Park.
West Rogers Park, absolutely. And we pride ourselves on covering these neighborhoods more thoroughly than the big dailies have time or resources to do. So we have a good stable of reporters, and we're serious about our business.
No, you do, as a matter of fact. I ran into three, Patrick Butler, who used to be with Lerner,
Right.
yourself, and I can never remember the Greek guy's name.
Bob Kitsos, I believe.
Yeah, he was
Yes.
covering the Aldermanic race over here, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, another good reporter.
Yeah, very good reporter. And it's about the only place you can see some of the news. Now, what makes the, I always had for the blotter, not just to see what crimes I might have missed in the 24th District or in my neighborhood, but you don't just write about this stuff. You actually kind of live it and describe it very richly.
Try to.
Yeah, no, it's really kind of cool to read. You're really good at picking up on the irony sometimes of a situation.
Well, that is the irony is pungent in a lot of police reports. So when you're looking those over, it sticks out. You almost can't put it in the report. You know, your job as a reporter is to state facts as plainly as you possibly can. But sometimes it's hard not to give the pieces a little bit of color, because that was the reality of what happened. Police officers see a lot of very unusual things on a day-to-day basis, and that can be funny for a reader, and I think that's all right to insert a little bit of serious levity into otherwise sort of bleak reports.
Well, it makes it a lot easier to read, that's for sure.
I'm glad it does. That's what I want. I want people to read the blotter.
Now, let me ask you, because you basically cover, how many different districts do you cover in the blotter?
I cover 2 police districts. They're basically contiguous. It's the 24th and the 20th, which the 20th is to the south, 24 is to the north. It's from Howard Street basically to Lawrence, west to the river, and then the eastern boundary is Lake Michigan.
And how many hours? How long do you spend going through the reports to find what you need?
That depending on what happens, it's several hours a week minimum. I mean, sometimes 3 hours a week, and longer. I've made some fairly good connections at the departments, and so I will talk with rank and file when I'm there. And if something's going on, particularly in a district, we'll have conversations that'll go on 30 to 45 minutes. Such details and trying to get things as accurate as they can be. So it's a pretty time-consuming process, and then writing them is another time-consuming process.
Do you get good cooperation from the police?
Yeah, excellent. It was difficult to get into those districts at first. They were very suspicious of press. When I was on this show last time, we talked about the reasons for that. A particular reporter was not doing her job as a reporter, and that made things difficult. But now that I've been there for a while, I've made some good relationships, and they're very good to me. And it's because I tell the truth. There's actually, as we go forward here, there was a dog shooting over on Boyna. This made all the daily papers. Are you familiar with this? An officer
No, I'm
shot
not.
a miniature bull terrier, and people love their dogs. And so there's been a lot of outrage about this shooting. And you know how people are on message boards and blogs. They say a lot of nasty things.
Yeah, it's really easy when there's not a human being there.
Absolutely. And so in all the coverage in the dailies, I did not see anybody report from the police department's perspective what had happened. I was very interested in why the dog was shot. I was very interested in the circumstances surrounding it, but I also wanted to hear the officer's side. It seemed fairly clear that this officer had acted wrongly in shooting this dog, but there is another side to the story, even if he was wrong to do it. So I got in contact with Commander Vulgaris of the 19th, and we had about a 25-minute conversation about what had happened and what the officer's reasons were given for shooting the dog. And so our piece, which is in this week's newspapers, gives both sides of the story. We have eyewitness accounts of what they say happened, and we have the commander's account of what he says the officer said happened.
Yeah.
So that's an example, I think, of the police department being willing to talk to me when they're not willing to talk to other outlets. Like I said, I didn't see the police department side of that issue in the Sun-Times, in the Tribune, anywhere, and this has been a very widely reported story.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I hate to say it, but some of the people in the daily papers are highly overrated. And I know myself that when I first started covering things that the regular papers were covering for another outlet, these are the ancient days when you couldn't just, text in your story or send a little email.
Yeah.
People were actually, well, first of all, the one thing they knew better than me was to be near the payphones
Yeah.
when the time came to break. And
Right.
as a result, I got to listen to them call in their stories.
Yeah.
And there were occasions where I was wondering where the hell that reporter was, because it certainly wasn't at the same event I was at.
Yeah. That's interesting you got to do that, because I get into the history of things quite a bit, journalism, reporting especially, and those old days are very interesting to me. When you'd phone in stories, I found out that a lot of the reporters that worked in Chicago in the 20s and 30s, and during the Prohibition period, and the outfit days and stuff, I found out a lot of the big name reporters didn't spend much time in the newsroom at all, and hardly ever wrote their stories.
By the way, that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
And what they would do is they would get specialists. They'd have people that were really good at covering stories but couldn't necessarily write.
Yeah.
But they'd also have people, in the office that were very good at taking their information and polishing it up,
Yeah.
the right way, and making it a more readable story.
Yeah. That was my understanding of it too, is that these people called in stories to copywriters. They called in, they gave them names, they gave them facts, they gave them addresses, and they gave them times. The basic who, what, where,
Yeah.
when, why. And then these copywriters punched out a story in 25 minutes and got it down to editorial, and it was quickly in the newspaper. But the reporters themselves, often given bylines, didn't actually write those stories, which was very interesting to me, because I agonize over words.
Yeah, no, you know what? That's one of the reasons I wouldn't want to work for a daily, and I've mostly worked for things that are weekly or monthly,
Yeah.
or run them that way. And you know, if I had to worry about the daily pressure, because I try to do the same thing too. When I write, I really try to give it a lot of thought and try to get myself. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I put out Jewish Chicago twice a year. Well, actually, when there's elections in 2013, I don't know if I'll put it out at all. We don't have a local election, but yeah, you know, it's. You want to describe if I want to describe something accurately, I really might go to pains, and I might go through something several times, or even let it sit overnight.
Yeah.
Which you can't do with the daily.
You can't do that at the daily. Sitting overnight is so big. You know, before I got into really being a reporter, I was much harder on writers, especially in the dailies. I'd read this stuff and think, these people can't write. You know, I'd write circles around every one of these guys and girls, and you know, why isn't this my job? Now that I write for a weekly, and I have a weekly deadline, and I have an opportunity to write a story over the course of a day, sleep on it, edit it again the next day, turn it in, see it in proofs, change what needs to be changed, and then it goes out, I have a lot more respect for people who get one shot to write a thing, and they've got about 2 hours to write it, and then it's out of their hands.
And one of the things a lot of people may not be aware of, but now that you have a 24-hour news cycle, you know, I've got a friend who works for one of the review papers in the suburbs, and it's not just like before. It's like the paper came out on Wednesday, Monday night was initial deadline, Tuesday was real deadline.
Yeah.
And now he's got to churn out, you know, a number of stories on a daily basis, and he's got to write them and send them right in.
Yes.
And they don't even give him an office anymore. Basically, they ought to give him a Starbucks expense account, but
Right.
you know, they don't even have an office in his suburb anymore.
Yeah, he writes out of a Starbucks in his bedroom probably, or his kitchen or something. Right?
Well, actually, no, he's all over the suburbs, and he can tell you where every Starbucks is in the suburbs.
Okay, that's his new office, his new newsroom.
Yeah, but you know, he's constantly filing stories. He doesn't have that luxury at all. So even the weeklies now, like the suburban papers, for that chain, I mean, people are constantly, you know. There's constant deadlines with stories, and even the Sporting News, which used to be my favorite publication, announced
that's
yesterday.
really gone downhill. The Sporting News.
They announced after 125 years, it's no longer going to be in print. It's only going to be online.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That publication has just gone to pieces.
That thing used to be like they called it, you know, the Bible, you know, the Bible of baseball and all that, and it was.
Oh, it was one of the premier sporting magazines in the entire country, and I hardly look at Sporting News anymore. I have them on my Facebook feed. I get them in email, and I look at their stuff, and it's not even really worth reading. I can get it 100 other places, and it's no better in the Sporting News than it is off like just some aggregator site, you know, that just pulls it in from wherever.
At one time, basically, what they did is they would take the best writer, like if you had a division with half a dozen teams in it.
Yeah.
They would take the best writer for each sport in that division, and they would have them write about the whole division in the Sporting News. And it was kind of cream of the crop thing. The same thing, I don't even know if Baseball Digest and Football Digest are around.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
They are.
They used to be located in Evanston, a guy named Norm Jacobs. As a matter of fact, I knew him, and he really knew his business quite well. But they would basically scam, you know, like Reader's Digest. They take the best articles from the daily papers or the best columnists and have them do things. And no, right now ESPN's hired anybody that's any good at just about anything.
Yeah, ESPN is just a Goliath.
No, it really is, and you know, but the day will come when they'll have their day too, just like everything else in life. 1 minute warning.
It's coming already. Oh, really? 1 minute warning?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think I was worried about time when this started.
Yeah, you should be. We didn't have enough of it.
Yeah, good point.
If people want to, first of all, if people want to contact you, if they've got a good story, you know, are you open to good stories from people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if they want to contact me, what do you think's the best thing to give them? You know what? Get a hold of us on our Facebook page. Inside Booster and News Star. I manage that Facebook page, and any message you send there, I will definitely get. So that's a good place to get me. I'm also on Twitter. You do any tweeting? You do any tweeting these days?
I only tweet the shows. I tweet the links to the show when I put them on Facebook.
That's tweeting.
Yeah, it is tweeting. So yeah, I do that, but I don't look at my tweets very much because, although I should follow you to check that, but I see it on Facebook too. By the way, it's a pretty good Facebook page. And you know what? It's funny because one of the things I like about Mark used to complain they didn't have a web presence, so he made sure they had a web presence himself.
Yeah, I did do that myself. We got print weeklies and we do good work, and it should be distributed. I understand the publisher doesn't want to spend all the money to do that, but I'm doing it for free right now, so it's been good.
Anyway, at this point, I want to thank you very much, Mark Schipper. Check out the New Star and on Facebook, and thank you so much
Avi.
for being here today.
Pleasure, sir.
My pleasure.